Hey guys, Chelsea here from A Frugal Homestead. Today we are out in our strawberry and melon patch. We are going to put in drip tape or drip line today. We've had a lot of issues with this soil. It's very rich in nitrates, which is awesome, but it doesn't really absorb water. Our soil here is very clayey. Where our garden here is up on the hill, it used to be a feedlot, and so it's very rich because of all of the manure and everything that's been left behind. So our garden does really well up here, but the soil itself struggles keeping moisture in, and so a low, slow watering is always best, but that's not always the case with our watering system. So this year we decided to put in some drip tape in our pumpkin patch as well as in our regular garden. And then we decided if we want consistency with our strawberries, then we need to put lines on them. Now this year we planted, like I said, melons right behind me. They are struggling because they're just not getting the right amount of water. And we have ridiculous amounts of gopher holes this year. Like every inch of our property has gopher holes on it this year. So we're hoping that the drip line will help stop some of the the water going into the gopher holes and ensure that our plants are getting water instead of the gophers. So we're going to kind of show you the process of how we're putting in our drip line, and maybe that's different for you. But this is something our friends showed us and it's been working really well for us. So we'll show you how it works for us. So we're going to start with 3/4 of an inch poly pipe. And this is just the length of our kind of garden here. And on the end of it, we have a stopper.
Which can be added on to later.
So you can add that on later, he says. But
you can add onto it later if we needed to extend this pipe out.
Right, which is what we're going to have to do probably in our other garden so our onions get watered. But you just have a stopper, and then at the top there's no stopper. So you can have a hose connection up there so that you can connect your hose. So it just needs to be the length of your garden, and if you're cooler than us, you'd actually measure that. And us, we're just eyeballing it because we have this size pipe. All right, so we're going to measure our drip tape. And this is, how big a drip tape is this?
5/8.
Okay, he's saying 5/8. He's reading now. And it's drip tape with emitters, so it already has the little emitters on it. You can measure it and be really cool and be like, all of our lines are 20 feet long. But when you look at our garden, they're not all the same length. So we're going to do our best to try and make it all look fairly reasonable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have these little ends. And what we've been doing before is putting them on first. So let me show you. So I have to think small end goes first. This is easier without gloves, but. And I put it all the way up to the emitter. And then you roll 2 or 3 times, depending on the thickness here, if we can shove it in there. And then pull, and that just stops the line, and then we pull. And once you get down to the end, you're going to cut. You're going to cut about 1 inch from the emitter. So where's your emitter? Right there. 1 inch, 1.5 inches down. And then you start the whole process all over again, where you put the little, what do you call those?
Cap.
Cap? Put a cap on it. All right, these are the little valves we're going to put on the end. What are the difference?
So there's a difference, but this end goes into your poly pipe. So you use your cutter tool and it makes the perfect size hole for this, and you just pop that inside there. And then on the other one, you spread it just a little bit and you stick this side in there, And it's not super easy because they bend, they're too flexible, but you just work it up until you can get it up as far as you can go. And then this part will twist and lock it in place so it won't pull out. So that's why you got to make sure you get it all the way in there so that it won't just pull out.
And what's the difference between this one and the one in your hand?
This one has a valve that you can shut off. So if you want to control each row individually, you can with this because it has a valve that will shut off.
Okay. So what's the difference between this valve and that one?
So we use two different ones. This one's actually a valve where it will turn on and turn off. So if you want to turn off different rows or different lines, you can do that with this, where you can turn it on or off. This one's just always open. It doesn't have a way to shut it off.
So if you wanted everything to be watered the same amount, you'd use this valve.
That's right.
And then this one is if maybe you have different crops that need different amounts of water.
And then you can control them each individually. Yes.
Okay. So we're just going to put them on ours. We have both kinds, mostly because that's just what we have left over. So we're just using the leftovers. But it doesn't really affect our watering process for this particular
There
garden.
is a significant price difference between each of these. I think these were $2 each, where these were maybe $1 or 50 cents, 75 cents.
So if you're trying to save some money, it makes a
the other one
difference.
you'd go with.
And where did you get all your stuff from?
This is not a sponsored video, but we went to dripdepot.com and got most of it.
Yeah, and then it was just delivered to us, which is nice because all of the
big box stores don't carry it.
Yes, and everything's too far away for us anyway. It's a good 40-minute drive to any big box store, so we love good delivery. So we're just gonna put the ends on all the drip line, and then we'll show you how he's gonna punch holes into the pipes here. This is the pipe cutter tool. Here, put it in the light so we can see a little better. And this part right here pokes little holes in it. And it's easy if you have thinner pipe. When you have thick pipe, it's not as fun. So we're going to take our handy dandy little tool here and punch a hole into the pipe. And then how are you measuring it?
I have a stick that's measured about 18 inches.
So 18-inch stick, that kind of helps us spread it out. Now this particular garden is spaced a little bit more, so we may not
use it on this.
We might be, but that's been our measuring tool so far, and it's actually worked really nicely in spacing all our other gardens. And then you punched your hole here, take that one.
And you want to make sure your emitters are pointed up. And you just take it and you snap it in.
See how easy that is? And then the emitters, show them where the emitters are. See how they're on top?
You got the white line that shows you too.
The water will kind of bubble up and out into the soil and plants. So then you just keep going all the way down that pipe, punching holes using your little measuring tool, or if you're eyeballing it kind of like us, to the next row, because these strawberries probably will not be moving from this spot, at least not for another year or so. And then, oops. So we'll just keep adding rows to it as we go. All right, we have all the valves on. You can see it's kind of messy right here. We just have to straighten them out. We'll straighten them out after we put water in. And then we will put little staples. What do you call them? That stakes, little staple stakes down that will hold everything in place so that these lay flatter. So at least that's the idea. So you can kind of see the line's just kind of laid out. It's a little messy, but we'll clean it up here when we start the water. So water's on, and you can already see water's dripping. Now if there's kinks, you have to kind of go through and make sure there's not kinks, because it will stop the water from flowing as well. So you can see this one down here has a giant kink in it. So we'll pull from the end so that we can kind of lay it flat here. So I guess we're going to start laying it flat all the way down. And we are really cool We put,
We're fortunate enough to have.
we have all the rocks in the world here, all the lava rock you could ever want. We own it. So we're using those kind of to stake down the side so it stays nice and flat. And then that way we can move these lines without our main water line moving. You could somehow, our stakes aren't strong enough, but these rocks sure are. And so we'll just kind of move everything so it's straighter and we can get underneath some of those strawberry roots so everything can be nice and watered. This is our watermelon here and our cantaloupe here. There's lots of weeds in here, but this is what we've really struggled to water this year. Because this right here is a giant gopher hole that opens bigger every time we water. So we've had to do sprinklers, and that has made everybody unhappy. So we're hoping this drip line will do the trick. Pulled the line tight, or as tight as we're willing to do. And then every, I don't know, 10 feet or so, we're putting in a stake to keep the line. So when the water turns off, the line actually will move because it flattens. And so sometimes it'll kink up. So those stakes just help it stay, so it's actually the water staying on the actual little plants. But definitely looks way better than I showed you before. Ooh, I just fell in the gopher hole there. But that's it. That's kind of how you put drip line into a garden. Not nearly as hard as it looks. This part, putting it into the strawberries, is a little harder because they're already established. But these watermelons lines were done in minutes. Hopefully that was helpful for you. We'll leave links below for where we purchased everything so that you can start your own drip lines for your garden. And I'll also have a link back to the blog that will give you step-by-step with instructions that way, so you don't have to keep coming back to the video if you don't want to. But if you have questions, leave them in the comments, and we will talk to you guys next time.